Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Glad you're still here as always. Today we have a little bit of a more educational topic along the lines of what the different terms for disability can be. So some examples just like blind versus low vision and me being like legally blind and all those different terms. We're just going to kind of go through them and kind of explain which one applies to which variation. So let's go. So the first one that we're going to talk about is one that I actually am. So I am considered legally blind. Now, it's not like there's such thing as like illegally blind, like against the law blind. No, it's not like that. Legally blind basically means that your vision is worse than 20/200. A lot of people refer to the 20/20 as a vision. So 20/200 is basically what a sighted person or like a fully sighted person can see at 200 feet. That person needs to be at 20 feet to see. So that's what I am. And then anything lower than that, so 20/400, 20/800, or like light perception or whatever, is considered legally blind. However, that is different than what is considered like fully blind. So fully blind is basically you have light perception, no vision at all, or anything along those lines. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, I'm so blind, as in like they're not really blind, which is kind of bothersome to people who are actually blind. I know I say it because I am legally blind. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm blind, because a lot of the times you say legally blind, people are like, what does that mean? But yeah, blind is basically the general term for someone who can't even identify shapes and objects. Legally blind is more shapes and objects.
So now, visually impaired means that your vision is not good and you need accommodations. So like if you're just somebody who wears glasses and needs that, that's not considered visually impaired unless you need more accommodations to help you through daily life.
Basically, if your vision needs to be accommodated in some way because you can't see as well as other people. So we consider visually impaired because she's missing one eye, but she's not legally blind because she can still see more than I can. So that's kind of that like gray area of like she's not legally blind, but she is still visually impaired because something has impacted the way that she sees. So then the other one is low vision, which is kind of the same as being legally blind, but basically anyone with a significant decrease in vision. So I'd say it's probably along the lines of legally blind, but there's people who are like, could be like 20/100 who could be considered low vision, but they're not quite legally blind. So they kind of fall into the low vision. It's basically like blind applies to this area, blind, and then somebody who's blind could be also legally blind and low vision or visually impaired, but someone who's like legally blind isn't technically considered fully blind, and there's so many technical terms that are just all over the place. But then there's someone who like blind, it's such a misused term, like people use it in so many different ways, and like people who are blind, 90% of blind people can still see something, which it's often like light perception or light and shadow is basically the most common, where they can see something. It's only like 10% that sees absolutely nothing at all, and that's usually caused to not having eyes or just not having eyes that are necessarily like, it's a like connection between the brain and the eye that doesn't function.
So a few terms that go along with having hearing difficulties is being hearing impaired and also being hard of hearing. Hard with a D, just that everybody hears that in case you are hard of hearing. So yeah, so hearing impaired is just like being visually impaired, where your hearing is like less, like not very good, and like it's not
decreased in some way. A significant decrease versus where deaf.
Yeah, so like deaf covers like more like really bad hearing.
You hear basically nothing, but you can hear almost like vibrations. Like that's the only way that you kind of hear.
And then there's also a hard of hearing, which is, I'd say, pretty similar to
Hearing impaired.
Yeah, it's just, it basically means that you are hard of hearing. It is hard to hear. Pretty self-explanatory.
Pretty much in the term.
Yeah. So yeah, so those are basically those are all of the hearing terms that I know of. There could be more, but my knowledge is not big enough that I can tell you guys any other stuff.
If there's any more terms that you guys want to know about, if you're like, what does this mean versus this or whatever, let us know. Send us a message, leave a comment. Otherwise, those are the terms that are commonly misused when talking about visual differences and hearing differences. And we hope you guys were educated, and we hope you enjoyed, and we will see you next week.
Bye!
Bye!